Welcome back to Capital Catch-Up. I'm Victor.
And I'm Lenny. Today we are looking at a substantial slate of legislation moving through the Senate, a significant merger hearing that could reshape the entertainment landscape, and a heavy list of Department of Defense nominations.
Let's dive straight into the legislative calendar. We are looking at a cluster of bills introduced in the 119th Congress that seem to target two distinct areas: economic fairness and infrastructure stability. First up is Senate Bill 3847, the Stop Corporate Inversions Act of 2026.
This is a recurring battle in tax policy. For listeners who haven't followed this since the mid-2010s, a corporate inversion is essentially when a U.S. company merges with a smaller foreign entity to move its headquarters abroad, at least on paper, to lower its tax bill. This bill aims to tighten the ownership requirements that allow these maneuvers. It's about keeping tax revenue stateside.
Exactly. And while we're talking about the corporate sector, there's an interesting pairing of labor bills here. We have Senate Bill 3825, the Workforce Development Modernization Act, and Senate Bill 3846, the Employer-Directed Skills Act. These seem to be moving away from the traditional four-year degree push and toward vocational and employer-led training.
It reflects a shift we've seen over the last decade regarding the skills gap. But the bill that really caught my eye in this labor package is Senate Bill 3845, the After-Hours Child Care Act.
That is a unique one. Usually childcare legislation focuses on subsidies for the 9-to-5 worker.
Right, but the economy hasn't been 9 to 5 for a long time. This bill addresses the reality for nurses, factory workers, and service staff who work second or third shifts. If passed, this could be a lifeline for single parents working non-traditional hours. It's a recognition of the 24-hour economy.
Shifting gears to energy and infrastructure, we have Senate Bill 3852, the GRID Act. Given the recent concerns over grid reliability and cyber threats, this is timely. It's paired with Senate Bill 3839, the Ratepayer Affordability and Transparency in Energy of 2026.
That second one, S 3839, suggests a push for consumer protection in utility pricing. It's often difficult for the average ratepayer to understand why their bill fluctuates, and this demands more clarity from utility providers. On the international energy front, there is also Senate Bill 3838, the Venezuela Oil Proceeds Transparency Act. This is clearly a geopolitical play, ensuring that any engagement with Venezuelan energy sectors involves strict financial oversight to prevent corruption.
We also need to touch on the financial sector. Senate Bill 3849, the Community Bank Relief Act, usually implies rolling back some compliance regulations for smaller institutions to help them compete with the giants. Conversely, we have Senate Bill 3827, the Financial Disclosure Modernization Act, which likely tightens reporting standards for public officials or institutions.
It's a balance of deregulation for small players and higher transparency for the system at large. Now, Victor, we have to talk about the committee schedule. There is a hearing scheduled for March 4th regarding the Netflix-Warner Brothers transaction.
This is the blockbuster item of the week. The Judiciary Committee is examining competition and, crucially, monopsony issues.
That's a term we should unpack. Most people know a monopoly, where one seller controls the market and hikes prices for consumers. A monopsony is where there is only one buyer. In this context, the fear is that if Netflix and Warner Brothers combine, there are fewer buyers for scripts, actors, and directors.
It creates a bottleneck where content creators have nowhere else to go, potentially driving down wages in the industry. It harkens back to the old studio system era. This hearing is going to be pivotal for the future of media.
Absolutely. On the environmental front, there's a hearing on the Toxic Substances Control Act, or TSCA. They are looking at a discussion draft to reauthorize fees for 2026. TSCA was originally passed in 1976 and overhauled in 2016. It regulates new and existing chemicals. Reauthorizing the fees is procedural, but vital for the EPA to actually have the funding to test these chemicals for safety.
Moving to the executive branch, we have a significant number of nominations, specifically for the Pentagon. It looks like the administration is trying to fill a backlog of leadership roles. We have Eric K. Fanning nominated for Secretary of the Army and Brad R. Carson for Undersecretary of Defense for Personnel and Readiness.
We also see Todd A. Weiler for Assistant Secretary of Defense and Jennifer M. O'Connor for General Counsel of the DoD. It's a full sweep. It is worth noting that Fanning has a history of breaking barriers in the DoD, so his confirmation hearing will likely be high profile.
On the judicial side, we see nominations for Angel Kelly for the District of Massachusetts and Christine P. O'Hearn for the District of New Jersey. These are lifetime appointments, so filling these vacancies is always a long-term strategy for any administration.
Before we wrap up, I want to mention the Congressional Daily Records from February 17th through the 24th. For our listeners who love the primary source documents, Volume 172, numbers 32 through 36 are now available.
Why do those matter this week?
Because that's where you'll find the text and floor debate for some of the other bills we didn't deep dive into, like Senate Bill 3824, the State Authority to Protect Civil Rights, and Senate Bill 3844, the Fiscal Harms of Federal Firing Act.
That last one, S 3844, sounds like it aims to protect the civil service from mass dismissals, essentially protecting the nonpartisan nature of federal employment.
Precisely. And finally, a quick note on the Commerce Committee. They are meeting to consider Senate Bill 933 for NASA authorizations and Senate Bill 3923 regarding NOAA. The NOAA bill is interesting. It focuses on expanding commercial opportunities for weather data.
That's a contentious issue. Privatizing weather data versus keeping it a public good. Definitely something to watch.
So what should listeners watch for in the coming days?
Keep your eyes on that March 4th Netflix Warner Brothers hearing. The testimony there will tell us a lot about how aggressive the government plans to be on antitrust enforcement.
And watch the movement on Senate Bill 3845, the After Hours Child Care Act. If that gains bipartisan traction, it represents a major shift in social safety net policy.
That's all for this edition of Capital Catch-Up. Thanks for listening.
We'll see you next time.